Hey everybody, this is the Mavic Air. I've been flying this. This has been my only drone for the past couple of months. I had it in Colorado for the Colorado Super Vlog, and more recently had it in Europe for Rotterdam, Paris. It's cool. It's portable. I'm not going to talk specifically about like a review of the drone. I want to talk about what it was like flying and using it for travel stuff. So let's do that. A little drone that could. This feels compact. I like that the camera can jiggle around. That's what's important. These propellers are kind of flimsy, and anyone who folds these out knows how annoying it is when that, and you have to like lift up the drone. You know what I mean? And portability is why I have this. I want to throw it in a backpack, not worry about it. I have one extra battery just because one battery is just not enough. But oh man, just fits right in your backpack. So yeah, Colorado was crazy. It was a bros time. It was comedy focus. Think David Dobrik. It was a hoot. I took this thing into the snow, into the mountains, high altitude, snowy, cold, snow falling as I was flying it. And it was totally fine. We'll talk about it more as we go through the different clips, but I feel like I lose connection a little bit more with this than the DJI Mavic Pro. I want to get those names right because they're getting confusing. I know you can do Wi-Fi just directly flying with the phone with this, but I tried that once with the Spark and it was a nightmare. So I feel like you kind of have to have a controller to get these types of shots with these drones. And the one time that I tried to fly with this on my roof in Brooklyn, it was a nightmare. I had no control. I kept losing signal. I don't know if it was like, it does it automatically. It connects to the controller automatically. I didn't know if there was something manually I could change, but I just could not see the 720p picture on my phone, and I just couldn't get a shot off. But out in Colorado, very open, very wide, I was shooting in nature. And I must say, there's nothing better than finding a wide open space alone with no one to bother you, especially when you're in a car and you can sit in the passenger seat and fly the drone and do these like car commercial shots. Very fun. Fun fact, was not looking at the screen during this running shot and almost clipped the drone into the back of my head. It was very close. But man, so zen to just sit down, no one to bother you, in nature, get all the shots you want, and then have your brother walk around and be a weirdo up in the trees and try to follow him. It's a fun game to like try to like find him, like he's running, he's chasing board. So for this shot specifically, you can tell that I was shooting with automatic exposure just because I just took off. I usually turn that off, but I didn't for this shot. And you can tell that the sky kind of darkens a little bit as I fly through the trees. And that's not a good look. You know, you don't want the exposure to change while you're shooting. I suggest always shooting in manual mode, especially when you tilt the camera down, because the camera has no idea how to expose the ground. They usually make it way too bright. And since everyone's going to ask which picture profile I'm using default. I'm not changing a single thing. Straight out of camera, same color, default exposure, gamma. And then just exposing it correctly, getting the white balance correct. And then I'm not really doing that much in post, honestly. I think it just looks fine, natural. But damn, this drone is small. I thought it was really freeing when I had the Mavic Pro to fly through holes and get close to trees and like really thread the gap. But this one even pushes that a little bit further. But man, it would be so much harder to go through that same situation with a Phantom 4. So in Europe, our Rotterdam Airbnb had access to the roof. So of course I'm gonna go up there. It's fun on a beautiful day to drone on the roof where you have 360 visibility, you're up high so you have good connectivity, and no one to bother you, except the birds. There were a ton of birds and I was pissing those birds off. For this shot specifically, I thought it looked good. You know, the reflection on the water, the green color, the trees, the symmetry. but you notice that banding. It's weird. I wasn't able to notice that on the screen as I was flying, and it's either it's like light hitting the lens in a weird way, or maybe it's shadow from the propeller. I don't know. There's some kind of like frequency weird thing going on. And you do get that in any drone in certain situations, but I just didn't like that it was happening and I couldn't tell that it was happening, because I would have changed the angle of the camera a little bit to fix it, but I just didn't know. So a good shot is kind of ruined. The aliasing on the rooftop here is okay. It doesn't look that good, but honestly, I've never had good aliasing control from any Phantom 4 or Mavic drone. So it gets a pass. When I went from the Phantom 4 to the Mavic Pro, there was obviously a drop in quality. It looked a little muddy, I guess you would describe it, just not as good. Smaller camera, just not as much data. And I was like, okay, fine. The portability is worth it. But going from the Mavic Pro to this Air, there's not that much of a difference in quality except the noise. So for this shot, I wasn't using any ISO. It was at 100 or 0 or whatever, and you can tell in the shadows it doesn't look good. The lens flares look great, but there's like a graininess and a noise to the image that just shouldn't be there. It's weird. But I would say the biggest downside is the connectivity. It's just not as good as the Mavic Pro. This was as far as I got from my takeoff point in the park for Rotterdam here, and I wanted to get up close to the tower a little bit just so I could see the silhouettes of people moving, and you can kind of see it, but I was having connectivity issues. It was getting too far away, and then someone called me on my phone while I was flying, and that completely messed it up, and then the battery was low, so I had to bring it back. It was a little disappointing. It was nice shooting down with the reflections on the water, shooting towards the sun but then down at the park. Auto exposure was setting the park shots looking down way too bright, so you got to switch to manual, but everything else was auto. Very easy, fun to shoot. I think I took 1 or 2 photos of the silhouette of the tower. I would have liked to go right up against the tower and try to get silhouettes of people with the sun behind, but I was having connectivity issues because right at that moment someone called me on my phone. I didn't turn it on airplane mode, which I probably should have. And then as soon as I stopped the call and went back to the screen, things were weird, and then the battery died, so I had to bring it back. All in all, good flight, glad I did it. Back in France, in Paris, it would have been way stupid to fly anywhere in the city, close to all of the protected landmarks. Just don't do that. So I went to our friend's apartment on the outskirts of the city, up high. They had a patio I could take off of, great visibility, great high up connectivity, and it was fine. You know, I got some sunset shots. I did not go very far at all. I didn't want any problems with the drone there. But yeah, I did not have many other Paris shots because I didn't want to piss anyone off. So it's been great flying with this. You know, the portability is why I love it. It doesn't have the best image quality, but the fact that you can throw it into a book bag, you can fly with it in checked luggage without having an extra bag just for your drone. It's just lightweight, very easy, small, and nimble to get in places that are harder for larger drones. I'm happy with it. You know, it's okay. But lately I've been wanting to, you know, have a larger drone, maybe not an Inspire, but at least a Phantom 4 Pro Plus, for moments when I'm driving in a car and I can afford an extra bag and I don't have to carry the drone where I'm going to fly it. It would be nice to have a much better image quality. So maybe in the future I'll have 2 drones, but I would love for DJI to focus on improving the quality of the image in their smaller drones. And I don't see why not, you know. I would love to see better sensors in the camera, and then better lenses, and maybe even lens swapping. That might be cool. It's a little far off, but hey, they got us this, so why not? I really appreciate you watching this, and any thumbs up or comments you leave, any questions that you have, I'll do my best to try to answer them. But I do really enjoy making these videos, and it's great to have feedback. So if you're someone who's made it all the way to the end here, let me know. I want to know who you are. So thank you so much for watching. Peace.